Okay, so now that we have the first part of the page, we need to complete the page. We have been working with CSS styles. We did some links. Now we need to actually add some text to it. So what I'm going to do, you see we have the graphic under the header. That was our last one that we did in the last video. So I'm going to hit enter, and now I'm going to put another div in. Now this one is just going to be for text and for an image. So I'm going to insert div, and there's not going to be any class or anything, so I'm just going to do this. Now there's a couple ways that we can do this. I originally had planned to do it a little bit different, but I'm going to try my best to make it as easy as possible for you. I think the best way to start off with is let's put some text in. I'm going to do lorem. Remember what I said? You put the number of characters you want after it. So I'm going to put 250, and you got to hit tab. And I'm going to come back up here to this first, right before the text starts, and I'm going to insert an image. So I'm going to go into insert image, and I think it's birds is the one that I want. So I'm going to open, and let's see what we've got here. Now, it isn't formatted at all, is it? I mean, when you look at it, it looks actually pretty bad. But we're going to use CSS to kind of make it look cleaner. Probably the first thing we're going to work with is the image. So I'm going to do a new selector. And this is home page image. I'm just going to call it home. Remember, be as descriptive as you can. You don't want too many characters in it. So the shorter, the better, but you want to be able to find it later on. Now I'm going to apply the style to the home page image. Okay, now let's just make sure. So image source, images bird.jpg. Our alt tag, we're going to have to put something in here. It is small graphic of a bird sitting on a branch. Okay, so remember the alt tag is for TTY readers. They won't, blind people or visually impaired people won't be able to see the images. So the alt tag will explain what the image is to them. And it's just good practice to do that. Now we have the class homepage image assigned to the images or to the birds.jpg. So then let's go and let's make some adjustments. First thing I want to do is I want it to place it in a way that I want it to be. I know that sounds kind of strange, but I mean, I can actually control the size and placement and stuff, but I'm going to do a margin of about 10 pixels. Before I actually type anything in, I'm going to lock this so that when I make one change, it's going to change all of them. So I'm going to go 10. I don't know if 10 is right. Might need 15. and that will bump it away from the side, and it will space out whatever's close to it. Now, we want, with images, when an image is inside of text, and in other situations as well, but primarily when you're going to be concerned is when an image is inside of text, there's a thing called float. And if we look at these little icons right here, you can see that it's like float left, float right, and then none. Right now, there's no float. But what float does is it basically pushes the image to the left or to the right, and then the text will wrap around it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go float left. Notice how the text just wraps around the image down here. I know I've got so much stuff in the way that you can't really tell, but I'm not sure how to make any more room. Maybe if I close this a little bit, that might help. Okay, so we've got this. Now there's some other things that I want to show you. Now you typically don't have to do this. Before I actually go to that, is the margin enough here? I'm not sure if it is. I think I'm going to bump the margin up. Instead of 10, I'm going to take the margin to 15. Now margin is the space. Now we can do the space at the top, space at the left, space at the bottom, or space at the right. And if for example, if you just wanted extra space on the right-hand side where the text is, you could untick this right here. You break that chain and you put it to whatever you want. You could put 30 if that's what you want. For our purposes, it's just a little bit easier if we're doing the same thing for everything. I'm going to change this to 15, I think. I'm going to hit tab, and it dropped down a little bit more than what I wanted, but I think it's still okay. I think the gap here is fine. Okay, so now let's go down and let me see. I can't remember where it's at exactly. It's right here, border radius. For this image, we're going to round the edges so it's not a square image. Same thing applies. We can round the corners individually, like if we just want the upper left corner rounded, or the lower right, lower left, or lower right, lower left, and then the upper right. But we're going to do all of them. And I'm just going to plug in something here. If you do percentages, you can actually make a circle out of it. I'm going to I'll do 25. This is more than what I actually want, but I want to show you. Actually, that's not bad. Let's go 100. Just to show you the extreme. And you can see that the corners around it. I'm going to change it to, I think I'm going to do 20. I think 20 looked okay. It's kind of a clean look to it. It's not too strong. Okay, so now let's do something with this text. First thing we need to do is we need to kind of decide what we want our body text to be. We could assign all of our text based on the body tag. For example, I don't think they put one in by default, but we could, I'll just show you. Let's go to selectors. I'm going to hit plus, and for a body, because it's a body tag, we don't put a period in front. So let's do BODY and hit enter. Now you got to be careful when you do something like site-wise, because everything that's in that body tag is going to be affected. If we do too much, it can really mess us up. the thing that we want to do is just the basic text. We're not going to make it bold. We're not going to take any stands. We're just going to tell the browser whatever body text there is, whatever text is in the document, if it isn't otherwise stipulated in a different CSS, it's going to be what we want it to be. Okay? There's some other things that maybe we might want to change, but we'll see. Okay, make sure it's selected. Go to type, and we're going to do font family. I'm going to do Gill Sans. I'm going to do text align, make sure it's left. No, well, we don't have to actually change all of this. Let's see. I will change the color. Remember when I was talking about design, the real harsh contrast isn't necessarily the best way to go. So something that looks black basically but isn't is usually a little bit better. I'm going to actually make that even a little bit lighter. Let's see what this looks like. I think, let's go even a little bit lighter. Is it changing? Let's go to body again, text align. Oh, I still did the wrong thing. Oops, that's why it didn't look right. Okay, I would normally cut this out of the video, but I want you to see what happens when you make a mistake. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't changing the way I wanted it to change. And so I went to look at the actual code, and here's my body tag. Its font family is correct, text align left, but I see text shadow, and I don't want a shadow. I was trying to do the color, and I guess I was clicking the wrong attribute. So I'm going to delete that. I don't want that in there. I'm going to go back to body here, and I'm going to go back up to type and color, and I'm just going to move it to roughly about here. Now that should be more what I want it to look like. Did it change this time? Yes, it did, but I don't think it changed quite enough. I'm going to go back up and change it again. I'll hit enter. Okay, that's what I wanted. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to break the text up a little bit. So I'm going to move this out of screen. It's there, I know you can't see it, but I want to be able to see what I'm working on. I'm going to drop this down a little bit. Okay, next thing we're going to do is I'm going to kind of make some modifications to the way the type is organized. If, for example, say you wanted a paragraph break, I highlighted the text. Now, if we come down to the properties window and we do format, you see paragraph, right? Now, every time I've done this, it goes up to the start of the div, and that's not what I want. I'll show you what I mean. It puts the paragraph break starting right here and ending it. Now, that's not what I'm looking for. What I want is I want a paragraph break. I'm going to Command X this, and I'm going to put it right at the beginning of the text. This is what I was looking for. Now, I'm not sure why it's doing that, and I don't know if it's changed or I just forgot or what the issue is, but I want to break this paragraph up into several different paragraphs. So I'm going to just kind of move somewhere here. And remember, whenever you start a new tag, you have to close the old one. So I'm going to close that first paragraph break. and I'm going to start a new one. Paragraphs are very easy. It's just a P. You close it by using the / and then the P, and to open it, it's just the P. And I'm going to do another one. See, if you look over here, you can see the space that has been created. And that's what I want. I want at least 2 more. So I'm going to come down here, maybe about here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to close off the P and create a new one. And we come over and you can see what's happening. We're putting these extra gaps in between. I'm going to come down roughly about here. I'll put a period in there to make it look correct. I'll do bracket / P, close that other one off, and then I will open a new one. And we can do probably one more, or not. It doesn't really matter. Let's do one more. I'm gonna do. How about right here? Do period, and we close off. Whoops! Close off the P there, and I'll open up another one. When we look, we have these. The reason why I wanted to do that is I wanted the text to be further down so you can see how the text is wrapping around our image. The next thing, what I wanted to do is to insert, and let's see if it's going to let me do this. I want to put my cursor in front of this first paragraph, and I'll go up and insert and go to heading, and I'm going to do H2. Now this is the content here. Now I can change this here, or I can change it here. I am going to copy some text. I'm going to copy, I don't know about this text right here. And I'm going to come in, and where it says this is the content, I'm going to replace that with this. Now, one of the things that I want to do as well is I'm going to do, I think, well, actually, I'm just going to leave that. I don't want to get complicated on it. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Let's save this. I'm going to go in and save the CSS as well. And I'll go File, Firefox Preview. And you can see how it's starting to kind of come along. If you wanted to, you could add some more images or some text. I'm thinking here. It's not bad. It could probably use a little bit more. I'm going to go in and I'm going to make another style. So I'm going to bring my CSS designer back over. I'm going to do new, and I'm going to call this run in heading. Run in head, G-A-D. It could be called subtitle too. In fact, I think I will call it subtitle. I think that's a better descriptor. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to change the text to, let me see if I can see this right here. Hit enter. And I'm just going to make the font weight bold. That's all I'm going to do. I think that's all I'm going to do. Font weights B-O-L-D. Okay, now let's see. I'm going to highlight some text. And I will assign class subtitle. Now, you'll see that we have assigned this, and I mean, it kind of looks okay, but I think the most important thing is to come in. We need it to be broken up. So I'm going to do a tag that's called BR for break. If I hit enter, and you can see now that the text below has dropped underneath it. Okay, so far so good, I think, at least. The last thing that we need to do is copy. I wish there was some room I could put this out of the way. I think it's looking pretty good. What I would want to do next is put my footer in. I want to be able to take my header here and move it down to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is to go up, I'm going to find the link, the div that had the menu bar in it, right here. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to take it all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to place it after that one. Do Command V. And I should have my footer down here. Now, to give it a little bit extra, I'm going to, after this, I'm going to add a paragraph into it. Inserts, paragraph, and I'm going to say Option G, 2020, PSC.com. We know it's not .com, but I don't want the school to actually be part of it. So in order to get this right, we need another style. So I'm going to move this back over, and I'm going to do a new selector, and I'm going to copy this, call this copyright, COPYRIGHT. The text is going to be, I'm going to make the color a lot lighter. Font size, I'm going to make smaller. I'm going to make it 10 pixels. And I'm going to text align center. And let's just see what it looks like now. I'm going to highlight this. And I will apply where is it? Copyrights. It's a little small, but I think it works. All right, so right now I think we're okay. I've shown you how to put an image in, how to use the CSS, all the basics. Now we haven't tested it yet. I mean, not really. We have a gap up here that I don't really like. There's some other things too that I think we're going to have to make changes to. But the best thing to do now is to preview it. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to save the base code too. Do File, Firefox. Okay, I'm going to close this one out. And actually, no, it's okay. I thought it was, what I was looking at was wrong. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing any problems. There's some things that I kind of am curious about. Like, for example, I wanted to put a horizontal rule underneath here, but I don't want to make a mistake in on this video. So I'm going to hold off. Usually it's just HR. In fact, I'll show you what I mean. If we go into the source code, go into source here, right underneath the H2, we go up to, where is it? Subtitle, H2. The code used to be HR. Oh, it worked. And we could actually do some styles with it to tell it not to be 100%. Okay, I think that's it right now. Let's make sure. A couple things that we need to do. I'm going to save this. Okay, there's a couple other things that I will want to do. Um, the first is I want to add some comments. The reason why I want to do that is to give us a little info of what's going on in the page. Now, Dreamweaver used to have a place where you could just insert a comment. I can't find it anymore. So what I did is I went to W3 Schools and searched for HTML comment. So you can go there, copy this, Command C. And what a comment tag does is it's for the designer themselves. It's just a way to add some more information into a web page in the code view. So if somebody were to be working on the site, yourself included, you would know what was going on. And we'll just kind of go through this. I'm going to do Command V. Now this is a comment, and I'm going to change each one of these, but I want to put them in certain areas. For example, after the head, I am going to, basically what I want, this right here. Because what I want to do is I want to save this as a template. So I'm going to hit enter a couple times and Command V. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is that when I go to remove, I'm going to save this page as multiple pages. I'm going to save it as contact. I'm going to save it as all the other pages. But I don't want to remake all of this information. So if I mark where the content is, then I can just delete the content and make new content on a new page. And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hit enter, back it up a little bit so it goes there. And wherever the text is here, that's the comment. I'm going to end content area. I'm going to type in end. I think I messed up. I think I need, let me double check here. Yeah. No, I'm okay. End content area. Now that will just be for me. So when I come back, I can delete everything in between these two tags. So begin content area. And I'm going to get rid of this one right here. I don't think we really need this one. Okay, now let's put some other tags in. We haven't talked about any of the other tags, but for the most part, I kind of want to touch base on them. I'm going to go fairly quickly just because we're going to work with it more and more and more. So a little bit now, a little bit next time, and a little bit more after that. Eventually, it'll make more sense, okay? So I'm going to do another meta tag. Now we talked about meta tags when we did the title. So I'm going to go to Header, where is it? HTML, we're looking for meta tag. Here's a meta right here. We have keywords, description. Let's go for description. This will open it up and you get roughly about 225 characters to describe what your page is about. You can, what a lot of people do, they don't necessarily describe the page, but they describe the website. And I think for our purposes, I am going to just give a very generic, this is the first site that we're creating in Dreamweaver in web, or no, Art 320 fall 2020. And like I said, you get about 225 characters. Now you see where this went. We have a meta, name, description. A lot of times search engines use this for, like if it shows your site, the description will come up in their little blurb of information. Now, another one that you could add as well, it's one that you need to be familiar with. It isn't used quite as much as it used to, but it's still important. So I'm going to go insert to HTML, is keywords. And keywords are all of the important ideas on this page. Now we don't have any keywords because everything is lorem ipsum, but imagine that this site was about, or this page was about, I don't know, fishing. We would put the keywords that reflect directly what this page is about. So I'd probably do fishing, separate with the comma, say lakes, separate rivers, trout. And you could keep going until you reach the 225 characters. Now, they're not used that much anymore. There was a time when it was required. If you didn't have keywords, it was really bad. Not so much. Generally what happens is that the web designer puts the keywords that they think will get them the most hits, the most people coming from the keywords that they add in. And the truth is that most search engines will scan the page and collect the words that come up more times than other ones. Like for example, say you talked about trout fishing and you had the word trout came up 20 times. The search engine would know that. And it would say trout is a keyword for this website. Now the lesser search engines may not do it that way, and they may look at your keywords and say, okay, well trout is a keyword, so we're going to add this website under the keyword trout. Like I said, it's not followed that much anymore, but you still need to know what it is, and you still should have keywords on your web pages. Now, all of these go for every page. There is some argument. Some people say you do the keywords specifically for each page, and some people say you do it for the website, what the website is about. It just depends on what you follow. I think it should be on every page, and it should be based on every page. Same with the description. Instead of say this is a fishing page and the other one's a book reading page. Instead of in the description mentioning both of them, you just talk about the fishing page in the description here, and in the page that has the book reading, you talk about book reading in that one. I don't know. I think I'm making it more confusing. You just need keywords. Hit OK. And then when we look here, we do have, I wasn't sure that they put the character set of UTF-8. I think at this point, I'm going to consider the first web page done. Now, what we could do is we could move on and just save these as different pages. I think, I don't know how long this video has been going, but I think I'm going to stop here, and we'll take it up later and move it. I want to get these videos. I got 2 to do today. I want to get them up on YouTube as soon as possible. All right. Well, thank you guys. Remember, if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. And yeah, I hope this works out pretty good. I tried to go slower than I normally go. I don't use Dreamweaver that much, so I had to relearn some things. So I'm going a little bit slower. Hopefully it helps. All right. Thank you.